So I'm Jace Johnson, and my presentation is on Wild Bill Hickok. And in case you forget that, I wrote it right here for you. So, um, throughout history, there's been a lot of wild and crazy bills. There was, of course, Bill Murray and Ghostbusters and everything. Bill Clinton. But the one that I'm here to talk about is Wild Bill Hickok. Excuse me. James Butler Hickok, also known as Wild Bill, was one of the most crucial figures in sort of like the whole Wild West. His actions and his deeds have served as an archetype for like just absolutely tons of like Western films that you'll find today. One thing that he like particularly did that's been super influential in modern day movies and media is he kind of did like almost like the first Western duel. So how the story went is he and this guy named Davis Tutt, they were kind of like close buddies. This is at the time at which Hickok was the sheriff of Springfield, Missouri, in July 1865. So these two guys were like pretty good friends. Like Bill had borrowed money from Tutt on a couple different occasions and always repaid it back, and they were gambling buddies and different things like that. But they kind of like started a feud after a point, and this was all kind of centered around long-term kind of centered around Hickok had allegedly been fornicating with Tutt's sister, and apparently they was never really confirmed, but they may have had an illegitimate child together that Hickok didn't claim because he had another love interest in his life, more legitimate one. And supposedly Tutt was very interested in that love life of his. But the sort of like predecessor sort of things leading up to it was a day before the sort of duel kind of went down. They were at I believe it was a bar, and they were gambling, and for whatever reason Hickok had decided he just wasn't going to gamble with Tutt for whatever reason, and Tutt was kind of just like mad about this. And so during like kind of like the middle of one of his games, Tutt walks over and he steals the watch right off of Hickok's wrist, and his like very, very precious gold watch that is like one of the few things that he actually would sort of like fight for. Hickok calmly looks at him and asks for his watch back, but Tutt's not having that. He just like shows a nasty grin and walks out and starts telling people how the next day he's going to go out into the sort of like town square area and just parade around with his watch like, ooh, look what I got. So the next day, by the time that Tutt gets to the square, he's at the northern end of the square. And by the time that he gets there, Hickok is already waiting for him at the southern end of the square. And they're roughly 75 feet away. And Hickok says to Tutt, "Don't you come across here with that watch." So Tutt didn't respond with any sort of words. He kind of just like got ready. He was like, dueling pose. By the way, this is more of like what it actually would have been like, where you're very sideways with the people, unlike the modern duel, or unlike what you would see in the movie where they're just like square on. But yeah, the reason for that, it kind of makes you skinnier, harder to hit, and also if you do get hit, like you're less likely to survive, because if a bullet comes in here, it might like graze a lung, but if it comes in here, it's going to hit like both lungs and the heart, and that's just kind of a way to get rid of them. But anyway, so they're standing sideways with each other and everything, getting ready to pull, and eventually they did, and it was said that the sounds of their guns sounded like it was one gun, just because it was so close together. And Tutt was known to be a much better shot than Bill at the time, but surprisingly this day, Tutt had actually missed, and Hickok had hit his mark, just right on. And as Tutt sort of collapsed to the ground, he said, "Boys, I'm killed." Can't make this up. So he collapsed to the ground and died, and a doctor later confirmed that Hickok's ball from his gun had entered through Tut's right rib, passed through his heart, and then exited through his left rib. And that was kind of has to do with like the sideways pose. And Hickok was later arrested and charged for murder. This was later dropped to manslaughter and then found not guilty because Tut was considered to have an aggressive nature. And Hickok was kind of, and I quote, "No man should be expected to stand with his arms folded without offering some resistance." This duel had become like very much an archetype for duels that you see in the Western like sort of films, just leading up even into the modern day. And come on. Oh, there he is. And there were a few other things that I wanted to mention, but it looks like I'm already over time, so I'm going to just quickly go over them. So he had a couple of other exploits that were super, super cool, and I recommend highly that you look into them, because this man was just like a cowboy ninja, like seriously. And that was a sort of skirmish he had with a man named Bill Mulvey, and another one with a guy named Bill Thompson. A lot of Bills in the Old West, apparently. And so after all of these sort of like exploits, Wild Bill met his eventual death in Deadwood, South Dakota. And basically what went down there is he had been gambling, and this man named Jack McCall, which he and Hickok had been gambling with each other like the day before, and so they like kind of knew each other. But anyway, McCall walks in, and he kind of just like gives a nice wave because Hickok sees him like right away, and walks to the back of the bar, and then comes back and kind of just like sneaks up behind Hickok, and then at point blank shoots him in the back of the head. And that was kind of just like the death of Hickok. It's believed that McCall had sort of like made this plan with a notorious gambler called Varnes. I could not find the last name, so he's just Varnes, who had sort of developed a vendetta against Hickok during a poker game that Varnes basically wanted to like cheat, and it was Hickok, Varnes, and this other dude who he and Hickok did not like each other, so Varnes was just like, okay, Hickok's just gonna let me do this, right? But no, Hickok was like a really good person. He's just like, no cheating. McCall was later arrested, tried for murder, and then hung. And all of these events, I'm just gonna skip, oh, by the way, if you go to Deadwood, you actually can find the sign, and it's sitting outside of a place that apparently is not the original saloon, but was kind of like where the like owner moved it later on. I got to see this when I was touring. We stopped in Deadwood for a little while. But yeah, all of these events definitely cemented Wild Bill Hickok as a legendary figure of the West. His story has influenced modern media, and he will eternally live on as a folk hero of the past.
So when Hickok was shot in Deadwood, he was just visiting, and he didn't actually live out here?
At that point in time, Hickok was the sheriff of Deadwood.
Okay.
He, I mean, if you look through his stories, the vast majority of them, it's just like, okay, he was the sheriff of this town. Okay, then he was the sheriff of this town. That was kind of just like what he did. Originally, he was part of the Union Army and kind of went on exploits with them, but eventually they kind of like ended that because like Civil War ended and such. So, yeah.
So he was known as a good guy, right? He wasn't like an outlaw or anything.
No, he was not an outlaw, but he was definitely like really cool. Like, imagine the crazy things you see like the hero in the Western do. That was Hickok, only like in the real world.
It was Hickok who had like the dead man's hand, right? Is that okay?
Yep. During his poker game when he got shot, in his hand he had 2 8s and 2 aces, which is now known in like by the sort of like poker circles as dead man's hand.